Good day everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new review. For today I have another cheap smartphone from China called the Geotel Note, and this is the first time I've actually heard of this brand. The phone costs around $90 at the time of this video, and I do believe that we get quite a lot of value for that money. So for specs, we have a MediaTek 6737 CPU. This is a quad-core CPU clocked at 1.3 GHz. We also have 3 GB of RAM, 16 GB of internal storage, and the phone is running Android 6.0.1. The phone is made out of plastic, and even though it doesn't look bad, we don't get that premium feel that we get from phones made out of metal. Because we have a 5.5-inch screen on the front, it's also a large phone, so it is a bit difficult to actually use this holding it in one hand. The back, it's made out of this super shiny plastic that looks quite good whenever the phone is clean. Whenever it's not clean, it doesn't look that great. So on the back there we have a 13 megapixel camera, we also have the flash, we have what looks to be like a fingerprint scanner, however this is not a fingerprint scanner. We also have their brand name, and all the way at the bottom the speaker. The back, it's also removable. Behind the plastic cover we have two SIM card slots and a slot for an SD card, and since we are talking about SD cards and we have Android 6.0.1 running on this device, you can easily install an SD card as internal storage. Out of the 16 gigs of internal storage that comes with this device, we only have about 11 left, and the speeds that I got for the internal storage are decent but not the fastest that I've seen. We also have a 3200 mAh removable battery behind that plastic cover, but the battery life, it's not the absolute best, so I was able to get around 3 hours and a half of screen on time and about a day and a half of usage on the phone, so even though it's good, it's not exceptional. And lastly, just below the battery we have the speaker. Even though the speaker does sound quite good, it doesn't seem to get that loud, so it really depends where you are, because sometimes if there is a lot of noise around you, you won't be able to hear what's happening on the phone. The phone's frame, it's also made out of plastic, and on the right hand side you're gonna find the power button and the volume keys, and these ones are also made out of plastic. On top we have the 3.5mm audio jack and the micro USB charging port. The phone doesn't support OTG and it's very slow to charge, so it will take you about 3 hours and a half to fully charge this from 0 to 100, so quite a long time. And moving along the frame, all the way at the bottom we just have a microphone. On the front of the phone, starting at the top, we have a notification light that can change colors. We also have a 5 megapixel front-facing camera, the speaker, and a couple of sensors. Even though the call quality is great, the speaker on top here doesn't seem to get that loud, so it really depends where you're having conversations, because if you're in a noisy environment, you're gonna have a hard time listening to the other person. Now that 5 megapixel front-facing camera, if you have enough light, you can take some decent looking pictures, but if you don't have enough light, you can barely see anything in the pictures, and the pictures that you've just seen or taken with this device. Now moving to the screen, so we have a 5.5-inch screen with a 720p resolution. I have to say that this screen does get very bright, so probably brighter than a lot of other cheaper devices that I've seen from China. We also have really good viewing angles, so you can see the phone from any angle that you look at, but there is a lot of glare and reflection if you are outside, so it really depends where you are, because there is a lot of glare and reflection. The screen sensitivity, even though not the absolute best that I have ever tried, I haven't had any issues typing or playing games or anything like that. So you can touch the screen in 5 places in the same time and the screen will register. And on top of that we have some type of scratch resistant glass covering the screen. So of course I tried scratching the screen and it doesn't seem to get scratched. We also have on-screen buttons on this device, and the good thing about that is the fact that we can actually change them around. So if you want the back button on the other side, you can actually change that from the software. Performance-wise, even though the phone doesn't get the highest results on the Antutu benchmark and the Geekbench 4, it does perform quite good for most apps. So I was able to use the browser. This is the browser that comes pre-installed with the device, and I was able to scroll, zoom, and do pretty much anything that I wanted to do without any issues. On the YouTube app, the maximum resolution is 720p, and all the videos that I tried seem to work fairly smooth, so no issues with the YouTube app either. I was even able to play games, and the phone seems to perform quite well for gaming as well. Of course it gets a bit hot, but that's quite normal for most devices these days. The GPS unit inside this phone, it's better than a lot of other more expensive devices that I've tried, so it only takes a couple of seconds for the phone to connect to the satellites, and of course using Google Maps or any navigation app also works really well. As for sensors, unfortunately we don't really get that many sensors, but that's quite normal for a phone this cheap. The Geotel Note also has dual band Wi-Fi and can connect to the 4G networks, and I was actually connected to the 4G networks the entire time that I've used this device. The speeds that I got over 4G and the dual band Wi-Fi are about average and nothing really special, but I haven't had any issues with it. Software-wise, as I mentioned before, the phone is running Android 6.0.1, and the good thing about it is the fact that it's very close to stock Android. Scrolling in between screens, opening new apps, closing apps, and even multitasking works quite well, and I wasn't actually expecting that MediaTek 6737 would perform that well. The settings app looks very close to stock Android once again, and the only added features that I found are the double tap to wake up, and that one works, I'd say, 95% of the time. On the back of the phone we have a 13 megapixel camera, and like most cheaper devices from China, the camera it's not the best. The camera app looks like the camera app that we've seen on most MediaTek devices, so we don't really have that many options or settings in there, and yeah, it is a bit slow, mostly whenever you're taking pictures in the HDR mode. Now, picture quality, if you have enough light, the pictures do turn out decently. However, if you don't have enough light, you can barely see anything in the pictures. So don't expect that you're gonna take some crazy good pictures with this device, but let's keep in mind that the price is quite low. So there you have it, this is the Geotel Note. So if you're looking for a cheap device and you don't have crazy expectations, this is probably a good phone to get. If you want a phone with better battery life, made out of metal with a better camera and so on, you're definitely gonna have to spend more, but for what it is and for its price, it's working quite well. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.